All right, we are live for the 10th season's. It's not our 10th mid. It's not our 10th mid-season video, but our 10th season's mid-season video. If you know what I'm saying. So thanks for joining us. How you doing, Eitan?
I'm doing good. Remain very honored to be the co-MC for the mid-season video. I'm sure Brian's would love to be the co-MC for both videos, so it makes it all the more honored that I maintain the spot.
You do a great job at the mid-season. I'm excited for your activity later. So everyone knows, I know the last time a bunch of you saw me, I was inebriated. I am currently not
Oh,
inebriated. So
I
I thought I would mention that.
I doubt that, but I will let everybody judge for themselves if you're inebriated or not.
I have two announcements to make, one of which I will be sharing later. The other one is, you see me wearing a Knicks jersey. It's not just so that you can look at what I looked like when I was on the Rob Ravens basketball team with my basketball jersey with my white undershirt under it. Although I used to before Dahlia, I used to wear crew neck undershirts. Now I've transitioned to V-neck undershirts, so it's not exactly the same. But I have indefinitely suspended myself wearing Jets jerseys until at least week 2 of next season. I need to see them. I can't wear it, the rest of this dumb season. I'm not wearing it during the off season. I don't care what they do in the off season. I need to see them put a product on the field that's worth watching. Until I see that, I will not wear a Jets jersey in any capacity. So I wanted
Wow,
to.
that's quite the abstention that
I
you're
thought I would
bringing
update the
upon
viewers on
yourself.
my decision.
Thank you. Wow, I mean, it's a big shock. There's no warrant. I had no warning. So, wow, okay, that's a big adjustment, but I'll assume it's for the best.
Yeah, and with that, we are ready to get today's show started. We
Let's
are
do
going to
it.
start off by inviting Samuel Klein into the Zoom
All
to
right, let's let
discuss
them in.
our top 10 rankings for next season. Then we will be playing a game that Eitan Neiman has not really shared much details about. And then we will be going through through my rankings and the awards and scenarios and all the good stuff. But hey, SK.
Hola.
Welcome, SK. You just missed a terrifying announcement, but you'll have to catch it on the replay. Have to watch
All
it.
right.
Watch the
I'll be
intro.
fine.
It
It was
was
not about you or your family.
no, it was one of the worst things I've ever heard. But you'll catch it.
Okay.
Hmm. All right, Gary, go ahead.
Okay, so typically, yeah, we go through our way too early top 10 rankings for next season. Of course, we are an auction league, so we don't do snake drafts like the bug readers, as Bill Simmons calls them. But nonetheless, it's still a fun exercise to go about and guess who we think the top 10 is going to be.
I mean,
Um,
we could do a snake draft. I mean,
Brian, I guess you're the wrong person to talk about that with,
not
especially after your one season of fame and one season of horror.
first
But
off, I still might win this year, just to be clear.
true.
I'm in the playoff hunt. And who says no to a snake draft?
What do you say?
Who says no to a straight snake draft?
About three-quarters of our league.
Okay, so we'll see. Maybe I can do some lobbying.
What were your general thoughts about preparing the top 10? Easy, hard?
I mean, it's a toss up. If first off, in an auction, like you said, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So I guess it's top 10. What people will pay is the question. Um, I think there's one person, and maybe it's not a surprise, one person that I'm like, I don't think they're going to be in the top 10 most paid players next year, that they've kind of historically been. And I think there's a couple players who are new to the top 10 most paid next season.
I agree with that. I have a few new ones. I thought the top two were easy, and I thought after that it got very hard.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I know who you're talking about your one discard is. I suspect we have a few differences because I thought it was pretty hard after top two, but I do feel pretty good about my top 10. So why don't we take away with your number one?
Number one, I think, is going to be Saquon
Yep.
next year. I don't think he's going to repeat his performance, but you're just betting on the situation. Good team, good offensive line. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's not even in the top 10 next year.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think he's got to be number one. He's been so good and the team is so good.
What a
Yeah.
comeback story. He was, I think one year he was maybe like number one or number two pick, and then he fell to like a second or third rounder. Now he's back on top.
Yeah, and he just came back firing. Like he's been so good. Um, you have Chase number two also, I assume.
I do have Chase number
Yeah.
two. I
Yeah,
mean,
I thought those two were pretty easy. Most running back heavy leagues are gonna have Saquon one. I think like best balls will have Chase one. Whatever. Pick your pick your preference, but I think those have to be the top two. Okay,
yeah.
number three is where I think it gets complicated. I don't know any of these guys. I don't even think would be shocking if you have them like late in the top 10. I had Jameer Gibbs at three.
So I don't have Gibbs. I mean, he's in the top 10. I have Jefferson at 3. I think we all collectively, except for Andy, made a mistake this year about not betting on Jefferson and let him go for $47. I don't think that's going to happen next year. I think he is the most talented receiver in the league. And despite the situation that he's in, even with McCarthy coming back, I think he just is a top 5 player.
Right.
He's gonna go for a hefty price.
So I actually don't have him in the top 10. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. I
Getting
think
ready to make that mistake again.
he was
We're
on my
making that
he was
mistake
on my
early.
short list. He was on my short list of guys
I'm sure.
not
Sure.
on, but
Yeah.
but
Getting your
yeah.
mistakes out the way early. Good.
So you have Jefferson at three. Who do you have at four?
I'm on Ra.
Okay. I
So
don't have
I
him in my
in the
top 10
top
either.
4, I've got 3 receivers.
Right.
I think just Detroit's just a juggernaut, and I have Gibbs next to spoil it, but the 2 Lions there in the top 5, just betting on that offense, great
It's weird.
situation.
Amon-Ra has been like, I mean, he's been good. He just hasn't been like amazing. I mean, frankly, none of the receivers have been amazing this year outside of Chase.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that's why I went with a heavy running back top 10. So that's probably our big
I'm
difference
I'm trying not to like base it too much on this
from
season
this year.
because
Yeah.
you know if you look at last year, what happened this year is completely different. And
Yeah.
Saquon was on the winning fantasy football championship team last year, but he wasn't a top 5 running back. And I know it's a different situation, but you know, wide receivers tend to be safer floors, running backs more boomer bust, and the Lions just simply haven't had to pass for the second halves of many games. And Amara's production basically came in the first half. People are going to figure the Lions out next year. No team gets to be that dominant. Even the Chiefs struggle. They still win, but I think the Lions are going to have closer games next year, and there's going to be a little bit more passing than they have running.
It's a good analysis.
Mm.
It's a good analysis. So okay, fine. So you have Amon-Ra, you have Jefferson three, Amon-Ra four, Gibbs five. I have Gibbs three. I have at four the guy who I think you do not have in your top 10, which is CMC.
I do not see Christian McCaffrey in the top
Right.
10.
I was wondering if this would be the first year in however long CMC wasn't in the top 10.
Yeah, so it's
Again,
interesting. Just like SK is saying with the receivers, the bet kind of down years, but like past performance. I'm just going that way with CMC. Obviously, his whole year was just thrown up, with the knee injury. But if he's healthy, I think he's got to be a top 10 pick at least.
so that's where it comes down to. Do I believe Chris McCaffrey can realistically be a top 10 player? Yes, I think there's a good chance. Do I think he's going to be the top 10 highest paid player in the auction draft? No. And the reason I say that is because I think what we're going to find next year is the 49ers going to rely on Jordan Mason, who's proven to be a good running back.
Okay.
He's just not going to get the same opportunities. And the 49ers, like, they need to pay Brock Purdy next year. They can't
Yeah.
keep paying him less than what Aton makes. It's just not going to work, and the
That's
team
not
isn't
good.
going to be as good of a team. So I think he's got potential, but I think people are going to be a little more hesitant to bid high on him, given there's a lot of good players now.
I'm going to take that as a compliment that you said only less than what I make, and he makes more than what you and Gary make. So I'm going to say that was overall very flattering. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
to be me.
rest of the league, I'd love to hear your feedback on this general debate about who's going to fall outside the top 10. Is it the top running back, CMC who has fallen off, or is it going to be a guy like Jefferson, top receiver who's fallen off? A couple other top receivers who we might be excluding from our top 10 as well. And then I know you gave your five, so my fifth is Derrick Henry. I assume you have him at some point in your top 10.
I don't have him in my top 10.
Wow, that is
Uh,
surprising.
Derrick Henry to me is like a better version of Mostert from a couple years ago, where he had like 50 touchdowns.
With-
Derrick Henry has scored
That's
a touchdown
offensive.
in practically
That's
every
offensive.
week. like in it, I'm not saying he won't get those kind of yards, but if you cut his touchdown production in half, he's just not in the top 5 anymore. And he's been really great, but I don't think that's sustainable. It's just not.
Yeah, but he has a track record.
People have been
Most of it
saying
was
that
like a
about him
blip.
for so long.
He's a track record of not passing catches, which he still hasn't done this
That's
year.
true. He's
So
not
like,
even, they don't play him on third down.
yeah,
Any
so
passing situation, he's
it's
automatically up.
Justin Hill. Can you bet on him getting the touchdowns? Again, I think it's very realistic he gets it, but I think people in the league aren't going to overspend on him because they see the floor. They don't see that they see they see a low floor versus other players. You're like, you're guaranteed 10 points with or without a touchdown. He kind of needs those touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
So I mean, he's slowed a bit in the past 3 weeks, so I think it's gonna be interesting to see how he finishes the season.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I think he's not going to be good in the fantasy playoffs this year.
I
yeah,
hear
how he finishes the season is probably going to be particularly big for him, because of the narrative that
that's a
he's
good
going to
point.
explode. It's-
So
Um,
yeah,
so we had two big disagreements in the top five. I'm guessing our 6 to 10 are probably closer. Let's see what we
no, we'll see.
got.
yeah, it's definitely not.
Definitely not. But
There's so many people that could go in.
like you said at the start, this is kind of a toss up, and there's probably the 11 to 20 players could all have strong arguments for the top
Yeah,
10. Yeah, it's just hard to know until Yahoo tells us who the top 10 is. We'll never know.
I hear you. Who's your six?
6, I put Bijan.
Okay, I have him at 7.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's one of those players who's got the safe floor. He does do the pass catching. He can not score a touchdown. You're going to get 10 to 15,
Yeah.
and it's just bonus after that. And their situation's just as better this year. It's going to be better next year.
Yeah, and he could just get better also. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a safe top 10 pick with upside.
Yeah,
Great.
and the coach plays him now. Like last year, they
Yeah.
just play him.
So my 6 is also a very high floor running back with high end upside. My boy Devin Achan.
So I had him outside the top 10 also. And
Okay.
similar thing, like I have him on the list. I'm like, I actually have him above McCaffrey, but
Okay.
it's just, they have two running backs. If Mostert's healthy, you don't know what you're going to get. He gets injured a lot, but he absolutely has potential to be the number one player overall in
Yeah.
fantasy. If
Yeah, they're actually unlike
He's a
last year, he's
spot.
actually getting the heavy workload. The question is how sustainable is it for his health? That's his big question.
it's not even Chain's health, it's Tua's health. I mean,
And to his health. Yeah. Right.
yeah,
It's two-pronged factor there because he fell off a cliff when it got injured also.
he's one hit away from thinking he's Moana. I mean, it's a
You,
problem.
you think that the Dolphins will get a real backup quarterback this year at least, but it's still not gonna be the same without Tua.
Yeah.
Who was your 7?
7 is CD. I mean, terrible situation this year. He hasn't played great. He's been injured. He's still like I think he's with the number 3 receiver. All that being said,
Yeah.
um, it's got to be better next year for the Cowboys.
I have him an 8. I honestly probably feel like he should be a little higher. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think to me he should be higher than Jefferson and Amon Ra. I think the floor upside combo. I mean, I guess they all have it. I don't know.
All the
I like
same.
CD a little better, but we'll see what their situations.
Yeah, and when I say like, what people will bid, I'm talking you're probably going to be within $5 in all these
Yeah.
players.
Oh yeah, for sure.
These
For
are
sure.
all probably $60 to $65 player
Yeah.
bids. Yeah.
Who is your 8th?
So this is where people might disagree or I have different. I put Malik Neighbors.
Whoa.
I think you have to go like to some analytics here. At the end of the day, what puts a player in a really good position to have a solid floor and upside is targets. I mean, he just has so many targets, and their quarterback was abysmal, just so bad.
So
He's
bad.
getting double-digit targets. And even all that being said, he's great floor. I think next year they're going to draft a quarterback. They're going to put themselves in a good situation, and he might have just a killer year. He's just I think he's in a good spot to go off.
I like it. That was not expected, but I
If
like
you're
it.
just going based off of our league, all you need is for somebody to bid the top 10, which Oren
Yeah.
could do for Malik as long as somebody's willing to bid there with him. So until Oren gets the top 10. So perhaps
Well, I think
that in
it's
itself will get him there.
it's like everyone bid a lot on Marvin Harrison and they ranked him super high. Marvin Harrison, they put him around like 12. hadn't played single snap. He hasn't performed at all to those standards, but just it was like he was great in college and
Yeah.
he's got a good quarterback. I think people in all the
Good
rankings,
dad too.
when people bid at the end of the day, they're going to look at what Yahoo tells them they should bid and base it on that. And I think the analysts are going to come out and say Malik Neighbors has this brand new quarterback. Maybe it's Shador Sanders for all you know,
Right.
and he's going to go from 13 targets to 20 targets a game. But with someone who can actually throw, this guy is going to be the number one receiver.
I like it. It's very bold. I don't know if I agree it'll be top 10, but I like the thinking. I like the reasoning behind it. Okay. I have your boy Nico at 9.
I have him at 9 also.
Okay.
Another huge miss by us. What did you go for, like 27 or something, or in the
Yeah.
20s
And if not for the injury, he would be for sure the number 2 receiver.
points per game? Yeah, and even with Diggs, even with Tank Dell, and Stroud just has to be better next year. He hasn't been great.
No, he hasn't. He's taken a step back. He's hit like the sophomore wall, but I think he'll bounce back. And Nico is so good.
Yeah. So my last one here um, is Brock Bowers.
I was good. That was my next question after we did the top 10. I was like, did you consider putting Bowers there?
The reason, again, based on what will people pay, Brock Bowers has been far and away the best tight end.
Yeah.
He would rank up there in top wide receivers
Yeah.
if he was a receiver. And again, another terrible quarterback situation, which should only get improved. There's such a premium to a good tight end, and if your tight end is putting up wide receiver 1 numbers, you're just in an unreal spot.
Yeah, there's no doubt he's going to be in snake drafts. He's a second round pick at least. There's no doubt. Um, he was on the short list of guys I was thinking about. I personally would not spend top 10 money on him just because I don't like doing that for tight ends, but that's just a personal strategy. But I think that's a totally respectable play. I have Josh Jacobs. I don't know, not too much analysis there. He's just been really good on a really good team, and I don't know, maybe whatever. There's 10 guys you could argue for this spot.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to say.
If you want like honorable mention, one person who I think is going to end in the top 10 is Puka.
Okay.
He's not going to go as a top 10 player. And we both didn't put in Brees Hall, who was drafted as a top 10 player this year.
Brees Hall,
Sadly,
CD,
Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson will not be the top.
and no, not CD. Brees Hall, Bijan, and Tyreek were the big ones to fall from
Bijan
the
was,
rankings.
but Bijan was included. We had Bijan as 6 and 7.
Oh, somebody put Bijan?
We both had Bijan, yeah.
Oh, they both put Bijan.
But Brees and Tyreek, we both excluded. I excluded Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra. SK excluded CMC. So a lot of
So
big
you're
falls.
saying for the third year, Bijan's just going to be ranked in the top 10 based off of assumption performance.
Well, he's been good this year. He hasn't been top 10, but he's been like
Yeah, he's
been like
a running back 9.
Yeah, he's been good. Yeah, that's a little different than the last years, I would say. But yeah, it's safe to say that Neiman will not be competing for Bijan services.
Of course, I'll be competing for services. Everyone's services gets equal love and competition, and we'll see what the price is right.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
this was fun.
Bijan's played 11 games and only 3 of them were under 10. Like if that isn't like a great floor, or when I say under 10, the lowest he had was 8.3. Like you're just guaranteed good production there, and that's worth a lot. You're never going to get a dud.
Yeah, he's definitely from week 6 and on, he's also been particularly good. So yeah, if he keeps this up, then definitely.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks, SK.
See you on the other side.
See you on the other side.
Okay, should we bring Mr. Claren?
We should.
Okay.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hey, Jacob.
How are you both?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing good.
Well,
Should we
I
talk?
told Neiman at the beginning of the video that I had 2 announcements to make. One of which was about my Knicks jersey. You'll have to watch the beginning of the beginning of the video for that announcement. My other announcement is that a couple of people in the league know, but not everyone, that this will be the last time that the 3 of us will be talking where I could say we're the last 3 public accounting employees that I know, because
Really?
I am leaving public accounting once and for all.
Somebody actually told me that. I'm sorry to
Oh, you
ruin
heard about it already. Oh,
Well,
wow.
I knew Gary told Gary. I already spoke
So I
with
guess
Gary
Neiman
about
must
that.
have told me.
Did
Well,
I? No, that's not
yeah.
No, you didn't. Wow.
Well, Neiman works with some of my old coworkers who found out, so
Yes,
word
indeed.
was spreading.
Yes.
But
Where are
I was
you
ready to announce
going?
I'll tell you in a second. I was ready to announce to the league that, unlike in the last 8 years that I've been in busy season, September, October, November, which has hindered my fantasy performance, I will not be having busy season next September, October, November, and I will be ready to roll even
Oh
more.
boy. That mean
Wow.
we're
Guys,
expect we should
if
Our
expect a
if
only
you thought
our
my
champion.
only
team was if you
prayer, I
thought my
believe.
team was a juggernaut this year, just wait till next year.
Yeah, just
Our,
championship or
that was
bust, it
our only
sounds like.
I'm going to a healthcare consulting firm that is 40 hours a week. Um, and
Nice.
yeah, just
What are you doing there?
nice change of life. Healthcare consulting.
So you
No,
like
I'm just reimbursement consulting for hospitals, specifically hospitals in New York, New Jersey area. So
cool.
yeah,
Congratulations, buddy.
thanks.
Finally
It
getting
was
out of
time
the
for
uh
it was
the, the
time for the
tough life.
change, but for me at least.
Yeah.
Next time the three of us talk, it'll just be two public accountants.
There'll be
Wow.
two hard workers and a slacker.
Yeah,
Yep. Only two hard workers
basically.
left. Okay. Let's get back on track here. As we know, it's game time. I didn't tell either of you specifically what game we're playing, but you may have been able to guess it. Um, there's no
Is it the
secret
newlywed game?
it's no secret there's been a lot of hostility in this league. This season, the past few weeks. There's been some trades. Some people in this chat may have been involved in those trades. There's been
Some crying from
yeah,
people.
it's been some it's been a tense league. So I think we really do need, in fact, to play the newlywed game. Um
Nice.
it's um it's gonna be very helpful. It's gonna be healing for everybody. Um so I
Well, I
asked,
did guess that because Neiman sent me a list of questions.
Me too.
well,
So,
how else would we do? How else would
right.
I do?
Well, that's why I assumed it was the newlywed game, but I guess we'll have to see if it was the same questions for both of us or if it was different questions.
Well,
I think
that's
you
to be
I
determined.
think you texted me that it was gonna be Family Feud, Gary.
Thank
I
you for
did,
throwing
and
I
then
up
got I
Neiman
got the
tweeted,
receipts right
content,
here.
Gary.
What is the
but
first ever
Neiman,
Family
but then
Feud
you
video?
sent Clar a bunch of questions, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did send him a bunch of questions.
Right.
So
Okay.
I don't know
Right,
if
so
I
I was very
explicitly told him there was no
confused.
family feud or if we were just, getting to know each other. Or- I forget what if
The
I
family
if
became
I was
newlyweds
speaking
very
like
quickly.
yes, indeed. It's evolved.
Wow.
A family feud was a fun concept. I was envisioning it, and I didn't think it would work. So we'll play the newlywed game, and with no further ado, let me share my screen. And oh, hang on, I can't. Let me pull. Okay, excellent. So here we are. It's a newlywed game. This is it's truly going to be healing for the league, certainly for you two, for both of you guys. So let's see. So with no further ado, let's get started. I did ask you guys the same questions, pretty much the same questions. And so here's how it's going to work. So what's it called? So Clark will always be the one to answer first, meaning that just grab a pen so I can score here. Clark will always be the one to answer first, meaning that Clark, for example, for the first one, who would you consider your top rival? So Clark is going to answer what he believes Gary said first, and then Gary will answer after Clark answers what he believes Clark said. Now, Gary, since you'll be answering second, always, you should definitely have in mind what you believe Clark's answer is going to be before he answers, because some of these questions, it may bias what you think Clark's going to answer, what he thinks you think. He might just be projecting his own personal, deep, dark feelings.
So
We're
I'm
gonna
saying what I think Gary's gonna say, like what Gary's answer is.
exactly. So you're gonna say who you believe what Gary answered for his top rival in the league.
Okay.
And please go ahead.
I mean,
This might be an easy one to start.
it's actually not, because it's like
I said it might break
it
Gary.
could be
Gary's
it could
gonna
be a Dean, it could be Ryan. So I'm gonna say I feel like Gary values the competition more, and his biggest rival is Brian.
And lo and behold, it's correct. Heartbreaking for Dean.
It's
But
gotta be,
I feel
yeah.
like
I
the
mean,
game
it's gotta be competition versus like little brother, big brother. You know.
hopefully understands. And Gary,
I
who do you think?
some between Dove and Max, I would
Mm.
say because of all the wins, I would say Max.
Well, thank goodness. I thought it was just because it's going to be easy, boring, but no point for Gary.
It
It
was
was
Dylan.
SK. Can you see my screen? Can you not see my screen?
No.
No, I can't see your screen.
Oh, my screen's not being shared? I thought I was sharing my screen. My apologies.
Yeah, Gary, you're answering who my rival is.
Oh, I
I
didn't click
know.
the share
I
button.
think SK was your rival.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Oh,
Oh,
You
this
guys
is so
see
much,
this?
so much cuter.
Can you guys see the screen now? Yes.
yes.
My mistake.
I
Oof,
mean, I would say
okay.
I said SK because we've
Adorable.
made like low key like side bets on like our matchups,
Okay, fine.
like for
Fair
like
enough.
monetary.
Terrible. Couldn't see the screen before. But yes, here it's adorable. Okay. Okay. Next question. Okay. Does Gary have a drinking or gambling problem? So, Clara, you're going to answer first. You're going to say if Gary, does Gary believe, what's a Gary answer? Does Gary believe he has a drinking or gambling?
I
Your
think
answer.
it's a for sure where the old man Gary persona with the drinking and the playing blackjack all the time, the sports
You
betting.
think Gary thinks he has a problem? Gary acknowledges he has a problem.
Does Gary have? That's not Gary
Does
think.
Gary have a problem? Yeah. Does Gary think Gary has a problem?
Yeah, I do. I think he reckon it takes a
Let's
brave
see.
man to see it to see his
He does indeed. He's a brave man. You're correct. Are two for two.
the
I think
first step is knowing you have a problem, Gary. I'm
Yes.
proud of you.
I think
I
Clara
was
said
proud of him also. I didn't see this. I didn't see it
I
coming.
think Clara said no. Oh,
100% dude's off the rails. Far from a no. Wow.
dude.
Gary, you do not. Clara, how do you feel about this? Your dear Gary just doesn't know you. So over two.
Yeah, made it
Still
tough.
sad.
Well, I want the W. It's all about
Oh,
competition right now.
okay. Good. All these years of keeping up for
I will be better.
okay. How many hours a week on average do you spend on football between fantasy, work, and watching games? I'll accept within an hour. If you want to be correct. So let's say the answer was 20, and if you say 19 or 21, I'll give
A lot of hours. I'm thinking of Gary pre-new job. I'm gonna say Gary spends 6.5 hours a week on fantasy. Oh, sorry, I'm watching games. Also, I'm gonna bump it up to 13 and a
including
half.
watching games. Okay.
13 and a half.
Gary said 5, which I
You
mean,
know
I guess
what?
you couldn't anticipate his dishonesty.
So it's a
Mhm.
little maybe it's a little low. 13 and a half is a lot. I really don't watch that much anymore. I got three
Okay,
kids,
well,
man. How much time do you think I have?
I figured you'd watch the Jets over your kids, or make your kids watch them with you.
Not the last 5 weeks. 10 might have been a more appropriate answer. Yeah, no, 13's definitely too high. I will
What are you
I
gonna
will
say for Clark?
say 7 for car.
You're just gonna oh wait, Clark answered
Oh,
1 to 2
it's 4 to
fantasy, 3
7.
to 5 watching. So I
No,
think we
yeah,
gotta give
Gary. I'll give Gary the point for that.
4 to 7. Yeah, we gotta give him a point there. I forgot what you said. Okay, I
Yeah.
thought yours was 5 also. You gave more detail and you paid the price for giving detail. Um, these are points. Okay. So I had to tailor this question for both of you. So, Clara, I asked you if you would pay straight $250 in order to win the Gfed and get all the glory, as in it's just like you could pay 250 and wave your wand. Nobody will know you paid the 250. That's how I explained to both of you. Nobody will know you paid the 250. That's why I asked Clara. I asked Clara 250. Nobody will know you paid the 250. It was gonna pay. You'll know that you win the Gfed, you get all the glory. Um, Brian will forever respect and revere you, all that stuff. And for Gary, I had to have 750 because
So
250 would have been a ridiculously easy answer for Gary. So I had to put him at 750, and I think 250 was more appropriate for
I think Gary
Clark.
would spend $10,000 to win every year.
So you're gonna say yes. He would spend straight 750. What did Gary
This is
say?
a yes
He
for
said
Clara
yes.
too. This is a yes for
Yeah.
Clara.
Let's see, hang on.
I have a question though after you
More.
reveal Clara's answer.
Of course, and probably feels awesome to win from experience. That's a zing at those who have one zing at us. Can't forget the cumulative rankings. Also, that was my favorite segment of any answer.
Oh wait, so this I actually misunderstood the question. I think then was the question that you just lose 250 flat out, or you lose
You
you
just
I
You
understood it
lose
as
250. Yeah, that was
I
no,
pay
it's very clear.
750 and then I get the 750 that you win.
No,
no,
So you get zero.
I asked Neiman that question also. I'm like, for sure, it's an easy math equation. He's like, no, you don't get
Right,
winnings.
because for you, it's like, why wouldn't you not pay 250 to win 750?
no.
Yeah,
Gary.
just for
But
glory.
that answer
But
for
just for
Gary.
glory, yeah, I still would have said yes, but
Gary still would have said yes. Well, how much would you pay, Gary? What's your cutoff? I was thinking about putting 1,000 for you. I don't want to embarrass you. You would say yes to anything.
I wouldn't say yes to anything. I don't know.
Think about how cool you'd feel when like you go to
I think
shul and all your
I think
friends are like,
you'd pay
Gary won
5,000.
again.
1,000's probably a good cutoff.
I think 5,000 is a reasonable cutoff.
Five.
Don't forget you have a drinking and gambling problem.
No, it was drinking / gambling.
No, it's drinking and gambling. So
Yeah,
I can't go back
sorry,
here.
sorry, buddy.
Okay, I believe that was question 4. So
3-2,
okay.
Connor.
So I asked this on Wednesday. This is interesting. I thought this would be a particularly interesting one because both played on Thursday. So we can start to see the initial results. So would you rather have 2 disappointing receivers, maybe for different reasons, so far in the season, who are highly touted? Would you rather have Tyreek or CD Lamb for the rest of the season? So I guess Clara will go first. What do you think Gary said?
I think Gary would rather have Tyreek Hill.
Gary would embarrass himself. Who scored 4? No, Gary said CD. Excuse me, CD. So you're wrong there.
He's low-key still having a good season, CD, by the way. I think it's like the third wide receiver 3 or something.
Yeah, he had like 1 or 2 crazy weeks. But he's been it's been rough with Cooper.
I said I was gonna say CD for Clark. I came up with the thought before Clark answered because I thought it was only fair to do it.
Yeah,
before.
it's going with the thought. And Clark said Tyreek. So wow, so you both went opposite.
Well, we both went when we thought. So
Yeah.
makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, you both went what you thought. And
I thought Gary was smart.
So far, Clark, and it was a tough game. It was the
Yeah.
old game, right? You gave
I thought Gary next year would answer this question correctly. There's more time to do research. This year.
yes,
Stuff.
that's
Well,
right,
on our
yes.
top 10 rankings, I had
Singles
CD
yours.
in the top 10 and Tyreek outside of the top 10.
Top 10 rankings. Okay, outside of yourself,
And just for whatever it's worth, SK had the same.
in terms
What do
of
you
the
mean?
top 10.
SK also had was the top 10, the top 10 guest. He also had CD in the top 10, Tyreek not.
All right, so we're through 5 questions. Clark has gotten 3 right. Gary's gotten 2 right. So it's a close game. Outside of yourself, who in the league are you interested in seeing doing well? Do well. Thanks.
I think Gary would like to see Oren do well. Kid needs a
That's sweet, but this was interesting. Gary answered Brian.
I said, he's not my friend. He's my rival and my friend. And that's
yeah,
why I'm probably gonna be wrong, but my guess is SK for Clark.
And you got it. His rival and his friend as well.
So you could have a rival and a friend. You know,
apparently, I did not realize that was.
I want to beat them so bad, but like if it's not me, it's them. You know.
Yeah.
Tied up. Oh boy.
Tied it up. How many mock drafts do you typically do before the season?
We're an auction league now, so I'm gonna say Gary does. I'm trying to think of other leagues Gary's in. I'll say he does 4.
Let's take a look. 5.
I'll give that to Clara. I mean, this is
Yeah,
such a misleading
we'll say
question
we'll
though,
within
because I
one.
do
It's a
about
tough
20 to
one.
30 $3 best ball drafts. and I do.
All right.
I'm in other leagues, so
Right. Okay, that's right. You got to answer within one. Okay. What do you think, Gary, for Clark?
I'll give he deserves the point for that.
Yeah. But how many mock drafts do you think he does before season?
3.
We'll give you the point because he answered 2, so you're within 1.
There you go. We do auction leagues. Like it's not like can't glean any data from a mock auction.
No.
Okay. It's
I don't care.
I
don't care to make Queens League enough to do mock draft.
Well, I was actually in an auction before our draft, and it was still completely different, like a real auction for money with real people, and it was completely different than ours.
What is the trickiest fantasy football position? It's 4 to 4, 3 questions left. It's a tight game.
I think the low hanging fruit is tight end. I'm not saying tight end because I feel like that's something you could like, you know the cream of the crop's going to be. So I'm going to say the trickiest is kicker.
See what Gary answered. He answered running back.
You wouldn't think running back, but I've had so much trouble with running backs in this league that clearly, and this is my most competitive league, so clearly it's tricking me.
You gotta go whoever Max wants. Usually works.
Yeah, that's a good
True. Point. Figure out who we bid high on, or whoever Max is bidding on, I guess.
I was gonna guess tight end for Clark.
Close. He said kickers, but he does think tight ends suck. They make sense. Kickers feel more random.
I like how you put my entire
Gavin.
like response.
You gave very thoughtful responses. I appreciate
My
it.
responses were one
Your
word.
responses was
I'm
pretty
back
sure you
to it,
probably just
Gary.
wrote
Come on.
RB. I extended it to running back.
Are we still 4-4?
Yeah.
You're still 4-4 going into the second to last question. How many fantasy football leagues are you in?
And Clark, this does not include my 20 best
This
ball.
will not
I was gonna
include
say, I got 20 to whatever I was thinking before.
it gotta won't include best ball.
I'm gonna say Gary's in.
We're gonna have to get this exact. Let me make it tough here.
Agreed.
Yeah, obviously Gfed. You definitely do a dynasty league from if I remember. I'm gonna say Gary is in 3 leagues.
How about 7 excluding best ball?
How?
Gfed Ehrenreich Invitational
Oh,
Dynasty.
and
Devs.
but he only spends five hours a week on fantasy. It's in 7 leagues.
Fine, maybe it's 10. Vampire.
I forgot your vampire league.
My old work league, my new work league, and my $20 auction Yahoo public league.
I love you, Gary.
I'm hoping to make it 8 next year is my plan. I'm gonna say 3 for Car.
You got it?
Hey,
Yeah, I know you
Look
dropped
at
out
you.
of 1 or
Right
2.
on the money.
very good, Gary.
Okay, so the score is going to the last question, 5-4. We're gonna end this Zoom because we're about to run out of time. And we'll start a new Zoom and we'll do the last question. This is a cliffhanger.
After this commercial break.